Hello, Spencer family. It's Jeremy from Southern Poolscapes. So Brian, you gave me some feedback. Unfortunately, I was on the road from early this morning until this afternoon, so I didn't get a chance to really go over your email that you sent me last night, but was able to as soon as I got to my desk, and now I have your proposal done. Excuse me. So what I've done is taken your feedback, I've put it in the proposal, and I do have a couple recommendations that I'm building into the proposal. I'm going to walk you line item by line item through this proposal so that you guys can discuss together and so that I'm not leaving anything out. I want to make sure you have all the information that you need to make the best decision for you guys. Now, there's some material selections, obviously, that we'll go through, and I will bring everything to you. What I've done right now is I've priced everything out at where I think you will land. However, we can adjust the materials, prior to construction. The most important thing for me is that we go ahead and pursue permitting as quickly as possible, and then because it'll take a couple weeks, and then during that couple week period, I will come over with all the materials, and then we can go ahead and write another agreement with the updated material selections, which might result in a lower price or a slightly higher price. It just depends on what you guys choose. But what I've done is I priced things out in a way based on kind of like the design you're going with in your backyard. I've priced things out with that in mind, and then we can go ahead and revisit that together before construction starts. But let's go ahead and just really quick review the design first, and then we're gonna go right to the proposal. Let's check it out. All right, so what you see here is our design. So I took the water bowls and the columns out. I replaced it with a level wall with the 3 shear descent waterfalls like you had requested, and this is showing 1 inch by 1 inch, but there's a lot of different tile options. So this is your light streams tile, glass tiles, handcrafted, very great product, love it. But there are different sizes and different colors, and I want to bring them to you so you can decide. But I went ahead and left the 1 by 1 in there. Just so you can kind of see what that looks like. Now, the interior finish is a pebble finish, but there's a lot of colors to choose from. And then there's even additives, so you can add stuff to the mix to make it sparkle. And of course, I'll share that stuff with you when we do material selection. Now, what we would have to do, obviously, is demo the wall on the front end right here, and then build this wall that's cutting into the yard. And we would build that wall with gunite because we're going to be there with a gunite truck, and it makes more sense, and it's about half the price to shoot that wall in gunite than it would be to build out of block. So I'm always trying to look for a way for you to save money. So we would form that in the same way we would form it in and steel it, put the rebar just like we would rebar our pool shell, and we would shoot all that at the same time. It makes the most sense. We would also have one LED light in your pool, which I wonder where it went. Hold on. Let me find your light. It fell. Oh, for some reason it's pointing backwards now. So let me turn that around. Up. And let's center that light. Sorry, I know it's hard for you guys to see what's going on right now, but I will fix it so you can see it. And we're going to put that on the bench because we don't want any shadows casted. There we go. Cool. All right. So that is a 1 LED light that will change colors. You can control that with full automation on an app on your phone, as well as the bubbler. So those will all be automated, as well as the waterfall. So you can turn them all on and off via an app on your phone, as well as temperature control, just turning your pump on and off to make sure your skimmers and your main drain's working. We're keeping it clean. So that's all included in your proposal. All right. So once again, we have a 10 by 12 pool. What I did with the depth profile is I decided, because we don't want to go 4 feet of depth in, we'll call it the shallow end. Because if you go 4 feet of depth in the shallow end, what's going to happen is you're going to need another step, and that step's going to take up space, and we don't want to do that. So what I've done here is I wanted to make sure that these steps were a manageable height, no higher than 10 inches or no taller than 10 inches for those risers. So that resulted in a depth profile of 3 feet 4 inches in the shallow end and 4 feet in the deep end. So it gives you a nice gradual slope getting to the deep end. But if your legs are on this side and your torso is in the middle and your arms are on this side, it gives you plenty of room to swim and kick and use your arms for swimming against a current that will be projected from this wall right here. So my idea here is to put 4 returns, 2 side by side high and two side by side a little low, because we want to be able to move water not just close to the surface where you're doing most of your swimming, but if you wanted to maybe stand and actually jog or power walk against the current, I want that current hitting you low as well. So 4 returns with a dedicated 2.7 horsepower variable speed commercial grade pump. So you'll be able to turn that pump on and off from automation on your phone. And then also what I'm going to do is have 3 jets, Venturi jets, added to the bench right here. So this is where I would put them, because this is where you would sit. And I think 3 is just fine. You can get 3 people sitting in there pretty easily. Don't want to crowd the space too much, right? But I think 3 jets would be adequate. Now, the other thing that I'm including is a heat pump for you. And I think that's going to be the best solution overall. Now, remember, the heat pump isn't going to work well in temperature outside that's below 55 degrees. In that case, you would need a dedicated gas heater. But for 10 months out of the year, you can use a heat pump, and it will get up to spa level temperatures. And I put the bigger heat pump in because I wanted to find a balance. Okay, so we're not going to do the gas heater. We're going to do a heat pump. I wanted to find a balance between speed and efficiency, right? So if we go with the bigger heat pump, it's gonna heat up faster than the smaller heat pump, but it's still going to be energy efficient, and it's not going to be as fast as a gas heater, of course, but I think it's a happy medium. So with that said, there is your design right there, and what we're going to do is look at your proposal. Let's check it out. All right, so this proposal, hold on, I'm going to go ahead and calculate this and generate the proposal in the same format that you would see it in a PDF version. So 1 second, I realized I just started recording before I even generated that PDF. So let me blow this up a little bit. And of course, you're going to get a PDF sent to you. You've got your personal information right here, and then the pool package specifications. Now you're going to see prices over here on the right, but that doesn't include the enhancements. So we're going to see the final price down at the bottom. So the area of this pool is 120 square feet of surface area of water. The envelope is 10 by 12 feet with a perimeter measurement of 44 linear feet. It's a shallow end of, it says 3 feet to 4 feet here, but I'm going to adjust that. I'm going to say, it's going to say 3.3 really is what it is. To 4, but I'll fix that on my end. Now, this is where we talk about it. I just want to educate you about what your pool is going to be and why it's such a great choice to use Southern Poolscapes. Now, it sounds like you're already confident with us, and you should be. I wouldn't do this for any other builder. I can work for any builder in the industry, and I would only work for Southern Poolscapes in this footprint because they are the only company that I've seen in the 3 years that I've been in the industry that are going to provide the quality and the offerings that I believe every potential pool owner should be offered. So now with that said, I want to go ahead and walk through the specifications. And Brian, I know you can appreciate a lot of this stuff, so I just want to go through it. All right, so the gunite with number 4 steel reinforced bond beam, 12 inches on center. So bond beam is like the equivalent of this red Solo cup. So it's the equivalent of the white rim on that red Solo cup. So as you that white rim is the primary structural element of that cup itself. So if you were to cut that rim, what would happen is it would collapse in your hand, and then you got beer everywhere, and that's a big mess. Well, we don't want a mess in your hand. We don't want your pool to be structurally compromised, especially because we have a lot of movement in our ground, hurricanes, et cetera, a lot of groundwater. And so we want to make sure that it's as strong as possible. So what we're going to do is use number 4 steel instead of number 3 steel. Number 3 is code. Number 4 is almost twice as strong. And we're going to create a proper bond beam. And believe it or not, a lot of pool builders in the area don't even build a bond beam into the pool because it's not required by code. But every pool should have a bond beam because it's going to make it that much stronger. Now, as we move down, you're going to see the Hayward TriStar XL variable speed 2.7 commercial grade pump. And yes, that's a mouthful, but I can say it very quickly now. That's your pump right there. We're going to take that pump, and we're also going to dedicate another pump to your propulsion. So that's very important distinction there. We want to be able to separate that functionality and give you a dedicated pump for your swim jet option. And so the cool thing about these pumps is the fact that they're oversized. They're about a horsepower bigger than what our competitors are going to offer. But the cool thing about this, the reason we do this is because we're going to dial the capacity down to about 50%, which is going to save you right off the top 75% in electricity costs. But it's also going to, because it's running at a slower speed, but moving the same amount of water as a smaller pump, it saves you all that money in electricity, but it's also going to last. The pump will last 2 to 3 times longer. It's going to be whisper quiet. You're never taxing it, right? It's always working super, super efficiently. And that's one of the reasons that our pools are so cheap to operate after it's built. We have the lowest cost of ownership with our pools compared to our competitors. Now, we wouldn't want to put a big pump like that on standard plumbing. So what we're going to do is put a debris accepting main drain in your pool that looks like this. Of course, we would match the color to the interior finish. We don't like our pools, like if you have a blue finish, we don't want you looking at white fittings, right? So we're going to match the fittings of the returns, the jets, the drain, all that stuff to the interior finish. But this debris accepting main drain is hooked up to 3-inch suction plumbing. This is very important because everybody else is going to do 2-inch plumbing on their suction points. We're going to do 3 inches. One reason is to be able to pull out the debris from the bottom of the pool that falls in. And the other reason is because we're using an oversized pump and we do not want to restrict water flow with a larger pump. We want to be able to capitalize on the strength. So we're going to do 3-inch plumbing on that MDX R3 debris accepting main drain. You're also going to get skimmers. You're going to get one skimmer in this pool. And you know what? This price is going to go down a little bit because I'm going to reduce it. I need to pull one skimmer out. You do not need 2 skimmers in this pool, only one, and that'll save you, this is going to save you about $750. So I'll make that correction before I send it to you. Now, our skimmers, our Venturi skimmers, and they have 3 times the basket capacity, massive baskets, which means you're not emptying them all the time, which is very, very important because a basket that gets filled is going to essentially cause the pump to have to work harder, and that's going to, create more head pressure on the pump. It's going to create more consumption of electricity, et cetera, et cetera. So we want to avoid that. Now, a couple things to keep in mind. So let's move down a little bit further. Okay, here we go. So our Paramount EcoPool, you're already priced out for the EcoPool system, and I wanted to talk about that. So most pools are built like what you see on the left there. An ordinary pool typically has returns built into the wall, and these returns are going to carry the water after it's been filtered, after it's been sanitized, after it's been heated or chilled. It's going to come back into the pool via the returns. Now, most pools are going to be built with the returns about 12 to 18 inches below the surface of the water. And the problem with that is as it carries the chemicals to keep your water sanitized, those chemicals will float on the top and then evaporate off the top because there's nothing to force those chemicals to be mixed into the entire body of water. And so we want to fix that by putting 3 returns on the floor. So what we're doing, instead of having 6 returns built into the walls, we're going to have 6 returns, but we're going to have 3 in the walls and we're going to have 3 in the floor. And those rotating the floor returns actually rotate. So this is now a zone-based system. Other builders are going to put 6 returns in the walls, and they're going to run those returns off of a single line. So you have one line that splits into 6 returns, which causes an anemic water flow, very poor water pressure. And that's another problem because if you have poor water pressure, then you're definitely not getting that chemical distribution that you want. There's nothing forcing chemicals to mix into the entire body of water. So with that said, we want to make sure that we avoid that. So now instead we're going to have 3 returns on the floor and we're going to have 3 returns on the wall. And there's a valve that switches between floor and wall every 3 minutes or so. And because there's only 3 returns working at any given time, you have maximum water pressure that is now moving debris and chemicals and temperature throughout the entire body of water. Now, as you can see here, if the temperature controlled water is now coming from down low and up high, now your heat pump works a lot less to make sure that it's maintaining the proper temperature. You're not going to get the hot and cold spots in the pool like you would with a normal pool. So that is our EcoPool system, which I have already priced you out for. Now, just so you know what those returns look like, they look like this, and every time they pop up, they rotate 1/15 of a rotation, which essentially is going to not allow anything to settle on the bottom of the pool, which is very important. So as debris sinks to the bottom, if it's not caught by the skimmer, it's going to sink to the the bottom. And if that debris sits there, it's going to grow bacteria and algae, and then you're going to have to fight with your pool to keep it clean. But this will eliminate, these 3 rotating returns are going to eliminate the ability for debris to settle on the bottom of the floor, kicking it up into the water where it will be then sucked out of the main drain or the skimmer. It's a wonderful system. Now you can take that system and you can enhance it to an entirely self-cleaning pool. So if I were to do a PV3 in-floor cleaning system, what it does is it takes those returns and it puts it throughout the entire pool. And I'm talking steps, benches, and the floor of the pool. If you had a tanning ledge, we would put them there too, but this design doesn't have a tanning ledge. Now, then they work in zones, so only 3 returns are going to work at any given time. It is a 99% clean guarantee, and I did give you a line item where you can choose to upgrade for that. If you're going to have somebody clean your pool for you, then, I would say don't worry about the in-floor cleaner. But if you want a completely self-cleaning pool and save yourself about $200, $300 a month, and then it's always swim ready, then you might want to explore that PV3 in-floor cleaning system. All right, so moving on down. So we will give you a standard cleaning kit. The difference between us and our competitors is we give it to you because it's the polite thing to do, but other pool companies are going to give it to you because they expect you to have to use it all the time. And we don't want you to. Now, the para-level. So you have an autofill and an overflow feature standard on our pool. So you will never have to put a hose in that pool. As the water wants to evaporate during the hottest seasons, we have an autofill feature. It works like a float like that you would find in a toilet. And it will automatically add water back to the pool, so you never see that water level drop below the waterline tile, which is very important because if it does, then your skimmers will run dry, and also your interior finish will be exposed to the air too long, and it will become brittle, and it'll crack, and it'll fail, and we don't want that to happen. So we're going to put an autofill standard on your pool and an overflow. So during torrential downpours, we don't want water to overflow out of the pool itself. We want to be able to take that water and get it out to a normal drainage pattern in your yard. So we can tie that overflow into a storm drain or just terminate it at a logical spot in somewhere on your property to where the water will kind of percolate out of that drain and then fall into a normal drainage pattern in your property. Your Hayward Omni PL and AquaRite S3. The AquaRite S3 is your salt cell. So we have the most efficient salt cell on the market. Looks like this guy right here. So the ocean, it has 35,000 parts per million salt content. A teardrop has 9,000 parts per million. Most salt cells will operate at 9,000 parts per million, making it a pretty comfortable swim experience because it's less salt than or as much salt as a teardrop. But our salt cells can go as low as 3,000 parts per million, especially with the smaller pool. So that means it's a third. It can go down to a third of the salt content of a teardrop, making it extremely comfortable to swim in. Now, your automation is the best automation in the industry. It's going to be so seamless and so simple. And it'll operate off of an app on your phone that looks something like that guy right there. Awesome. So moving on down, we have interior finish enhancement. So you do not want plaster. So most pools are built with plaster finishes if it's a gunite pool. You do not want to put plaster in your pool because it fades and blotches very quickly. It's very rough on the skin, so you can actually scrape yourself. It's not very kind to bathing suits either. And also it fails in about 10 years. So this enhanced finish, this interior finish enhancement, this Pebble Tech, you're going to see some links and I'm going to lead you to so you can see all the color options, but it comes with a 30-year warranty. But the bottom line is you're never going to have to refinish your pool. It's going to last a lifetime. It's going to be beautiful forever. We're also going to microglass it so that it protects the pigment from UV damage. So we do everything we can to make sure that your pool is protected. Now, coping enhancement, I put this in here because looking at your property, I know the aesthetics are very important to you. So what I've done is a little bit of an upgrade to a 12 by 24 coping paver here, travertine or marble. Now we can change this back to the 6 by 12, but I have a feeling you're going to want the larger profile pavers on a geometric pool. Now the waterline tile, what I've done here is I put in a Light Streams glass tile. $1,980. That's just for the water line right there. You're going to see this light streams pop up in the water feature again because the water feature wall is going to be treated with the same tile. And you have a lot of color options, and I'll bring them all to you. Now, your heater, your pool heater, this is the heat pump. This is the best heat pump on the market. It is it's just an amazing piece of equipment. It's a beast. It's pretty big too. But this is what we're going to rely on to both heat and or chill your pool. And remember, if the temperature outside gets below 55 degrees, it really struggles to keep up. It's not going to heat the way, because it uses ambient temperature in the air to heat the body of water. So when that ambient temperature is too low, heat pumps don't work. So this will get you 10 months of swimming, because we have probably a total at most of 2 months below 55 degrees. So that's why I usually say 10 months of swimming. But that is your heat pump. Now, raised features. So you have 3 water features, 3 shear descent waterfalls. The wall is 1.5 feet tall, 14 feet long. Now, that wall is longer than 14, but the water feature wall, what I needed to do is pull out the water feature wall and then differentiate between retaining wall and the water feature wall. So the water feature portion of the wall is 14 feet long and 1 foot thick and 1.5 feet tall. And that section has a light streams tile on it as well. However, if you go down here a little bit further, retaining wall 1, it's 26 feet total in length and of average height of 1.5 feet. And I put right now, just as a placeholder, a split face marble facade, but and because that price point will cover just about any type of facade you want to put on there, with the exception of the light stream tile. The light stream tile would be more expensive, but I wanted to just give you a placeholder, and then we can explore different materials and make a price adjustment if we need to. Now, the secondary demo, this is demoing the section of the wall that needs to come out. That's all that is right there. Now, the bubbler, whoops, I'm sorry. My monitor has been doing this a little bit. I don't know if that happened on your end, but it just went black for a second. Sorry about that. Now, the bubbler is a Hayward Color Logic bubbler. They're not cheap, but they are just beautiful. Like, it's one of the best things you can do for aesthetics, and it's also going to allow you to see that first step very clearly. And then we're going to automate your water features. So you will be able to, so we need to add actuators to separate that functionality. So we need to separate with 2 separate actuators. One is going to operate the water feature, the water wall, your waterfalls, and the other one is going to automate the bubbler, so you can control those separately. All right. Now, moving down further, miscellaneous swim jet propulsion with 2 high returns and 2 low returns, fully automated with dedicated Hayward TriStar XL variable speed 2.7 horsepower commercial pump. Wow, it all fit in there too. All right. And then 3 Venturi spa jets as well. Now, the decking. So our minimum is actually 400 square feet. But that doesn't mean I can't finagle the owners or so if I put this in as a normal decking solution, it would default to a minimum of 400 square feet. We only need 53 square feet. I know I can get either our decking crews or just contract another decking crew to handle that small section of decking for you. So I just wanted to put it as an allowance to cover whoever we use. And then our discounts. So I've already offered you several discounts. So I gave you $1,000, and that's from me. I was able to discount the heat pump sum, the interior finish sum, the raised water feature sum, and the tile upgrade sum. And that brings the price to $92,290. Now, this is the section that's going to really, really help you out down here. You've got links to all of the specs of everything. And of course, you can dive in as much as you want. You've got your equipment here, your Paramount. These are like your EcoPool circulation system, your MDXR3 main drain, your Periskim Venturi skimmers. These are going to take you to those products. Your microglass. There's the Paramount Periskim skimmers right there. I accidentally clicked it. There we go. Cool. Let's get back. There we go. Then you got your EcoPool circulation system, your PV3 in-floor cleaning system. If you wanted to upgrade, would be $6,021, and you can learn all about that system. Not there. I don't know why that. There we go. There we go. Good. There's a video at the bottom of this page that will talk all about the PV3 in-floor cleaning system. So it may be worth your while. It will replace the need to have anybody clean your pool. There we go. Let's go back to the proposal. There we go. Awesome. Temperature control. You've got your heaters. The one at the top here is the heat pump. And then we have a tanning ledge, which isn't relevant. Bubblers, you can see standard bubbler versus LED bubbler. Deck jets, we don't have in your design. Your raised water feature, this is the price for your water feature, but you already see that above. Your tile options, this is where you can click this link and you can see some different tile options in here from Lightstream. So you can kind of get an idea ahead of time before the material selection, what you're looking for. And then here's the fun part. All right, so I priced you out for tier 2 because that's where most of my customers find the color that they love. What you could do is click the link to go to that page. Now this is Blue Surf. And then when you click that link and you scroll down, you're gonna see a bunch of pools, finished pools in that color. So it's a great tool. And you go back, and if you wanted to see what French gray looks like, you hit that and you get to scroll down. You see a bunch of pools in French gray. So I try to make this as easy as possible. So you can pick. Now, if you wanted to land in maybe tier 1, which is a higher price point, the reason these are higher in price is because they include abalone and or mother of pearl mixed in, which is going to give it a sparkle. But most of my customers will end up on tier 2 and then add shimmering seas, because shimmering seas is that abalone mother of pearl mixture here, and you can add that to any color. So most of my customers will, instead of going into the tier 1 category, right here, instead of moving into tier 1, what they'll usually do, unless there's just something they love there, they'll go to tier 2, pick the color they like, and then add shimmering seas, or even luminous. You can add glass beads to it to give it more color variation. All kinds of really cool stuff to do. Now, your pool deck, this is going to give you some ideas. So I priced you out for the, let's see. Yeah, right here, this highlighted portion, the 12 by 24 travertine marble. Once again, I kind of gave you, there's one price point that's a little bit higher, but I gave you kind of like a worst case scenario allowance. And then we'll find out what product you want to use and who will have install it. It's like they would be in and out for that decking because there's such a little bit of decking. But if I work this up with our decking in-house crew, we have a minimum of 400 square feet, and I'm not going to charge you 400 square feet for 53 square feet of work. Now coping, I did enhance your coping to 12 by 24 travertine or marble, and these are links. You can go ahead and see what that stuff looks like. Once again, links about automation, you can learn more there. And then everything that I've highlighted, I've included in your proposal. Okay, so that's already priced out above. I would stay away from handrails and ladders. They're just eyesores, as you know. I would stay away from using a pool builder to do a custom fire pit, because we're all overpriced in that. Enclosure, I know you're really not in the market for an enclosure, but you can see stuff there. Potential additional costs, I do like to put this in there because not that you're going to have any of this pop up, but the only thing that could happen is we might have to dewater, but because of the elevation of your property, I seriously doubt we're going to hit any groundwater. But I put everything in here because I've written articles that talk about those scenarios that really help customers just kind of understand if we were to ever run across a scenario like that. So those articles are included for you to read through, but I don't foresee any of those challenges for our particular project. And then we do have some financing options here, 100% up to 20 years with Lion Financial or HFS. And then our warranty statement here, best warranties in the industry. I highly encourage you to take a look at that because nobody can really compete with our warranties. And you got to ask yourself, why do they offer such an amazing warranty? Well, it's because we know we're going to build it right the first time. We're not going to lose our butts on that. So yeah, there you go. That is your proposal, and I hope it makes sense. Well, once again, I really appreciate you. I appreciate you inviting me into your home. I appreciate your candor, and you're just very fun to work with, Brian. And I really appreciate your willingness to help out in other areas as I grow Proterra as well. I'd love your feedback there. It would mean the world to us to have a professional like you and your general contractors that you're affiliated with give us some feedback so we can best position our business in that regard. But regarding your pool, essentially what we would do from here is once we decide on the elements that you want in. Like if you want me to remove something or add something into it, just let me know. I'll take care of that instantly and then send it right back. But what I'll do is I'll send it to you in an agreement format, like a contract format, for you to read through, and then you can just sign an initial electronically. As soon as you sign in an initial electronically, then I can go ahead and start permitting. We only take a $500 deposit. That's just to cover the cost of permits. So as soon as you sign, you typically within 24 hours, you'll get an ACH request from our main office requesting a $500 deposit. And then I will also immediately send you paperwork. Actually, I won't send you paperwork because you in Escambia County now they don't accept digital signatures. So I would bring the paperwork to you so I can get a wet signature that will just get notarized. So yeah, so I will handle that just by bringing it to either your house or your office for a signature. But I'll send you the agreement ahead of time so that you can look it over and ask any questions that you have. And then we can typically start the week after we have permits, because when we have the permits, that week is already booked out for excavation. So we're typically putting you on the very next week. We will do a layout with you so that we come into your yard, we paint the outline of the pool. I know it's kind of a weird scenario with the layout because right now there's a wall there that we're going to end up tearing down to make room for it, but we'll do the layout, we'll dress all of the details, make sure we know where we identify where your equipment pad is going to go, where, we just sign off on all the little details, and then we're in your yard within days, typically doing excavation from the day of the layout. And then the project itself, I'm not allowed to quote less than 90 days, but our projects right now have been tracking about 75 days. Year to date, and this being a relatively small project, I'd see it going pretty quick. And then we have a payment schedule of 4 draws during construction. We have 30% due during excavation, 30% due for the gunite chute, 30% due when we do the decking phase, and then the balance is due when we do the interior finish, and that's the last part of the project. You will also have before we do the punch list, or before we do the interior finish of the pool, you would do a punch list where you'll take your blue tape and you'll put it on anything that you want swapped out. Maybe it's a paver that you want swapped out, or a piece of tile that you want repaired, or whatever. You get as picky as you need to, and we'll take care of all punch list items before we do the interior finish, which is the last element of construction. So I'm sure you're going to have a lot of questions for me. I'm available to you, Brian. I know that you're taking off soon, but you can call me anytime. I'd be happy to, jump on a call, even a Zoom call, whatever you want. Come by and visit when you come back. It's completely up to you. But if you'd like, and if you're comfortable, just keep in mind, if you want me to start permitting right away, we can go ahead and change the contract before construction to work out all those little details. But if you want to sign an agreement just for the sake of getting the ball rolling with permitting so we don't lose any time, I'm happy to do that. And then if we do any changes after we break ground would be done with a change order. Anything changed before we break ground, I would just write a new contract to override the old contract. All right, well, happy birthday, good sir. I hope you enjoy it, and I hope I get to see you very soon, both of you. And once again, thank you so much. You've been a real pleasure. Talk to you soon. Bye.